Hello and welcome to this YouTube exclusive edition of Side Retired, the MLB podcast. It is Dylan joined alongside Curran. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Obviously, this morning everyone saw the breaking news / rumors that Buster Olney was putting out there that the Washington Nationals might be interested in trading Juan Soto at the deadline. His exact phrasing was something along the words of that the Washington Nationals might be interested or should explore the possibilities of acquiring Juan Soto. This is definitely an interesting topic that we want to discuss with you guys in depth today for these first couple of minutes. So in general, what we're going to do today is we're going to give you a breakdown of whether we think Juan Soto actually could get traded, or if we don't think that's possible at all. We're going to be following that by giving you our top 5 to 10 teams that could be interested in a trade for Juan Soto. So without further ado, Curran, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I woke up and it kind of seemed like Buster only just wanted to make some drama happen. But when you're a Dodgers fan, you're never gonna complain when a superstar is rumored to be traded because the Dodgers love to trade for superstars. So we'll see what happens. With that being said, I mean, as far as trading superstars go, Juan Soto like checks none of the boxes. He's signed through 2024. So for all of this season and then 2 seasons after that, he's only 23. He is unarguably a top 3 hitter in baseball. There's really no reason to be trading him other than perhaps money concerns. He's in the second year of arbitration, making a little over $17 million a year. And he is almost without a doubt going to set some sort of record in his next few arbitration years on a team that is not going to be very good. So the only angle I can sort of see is that maybe the Nationals look at their roster and say, look, we're not going to be contending anytime soon. We might as well ship him out with as much team control as we can to ensure we get the biggest prospect haul we can. I think it's a stretch. I think it's a very, very, very long stretch. I think the rumors that he rejected a contract extension, I think Dylan checked me on this, but I think it was like in the range of $350 million. That was definitely a lowball offer. I mean, the Nats have nothing to lose by trying to sign him now, given that he's under contract for 3 more years. Um, I'd again, I'm projecting here. I don't think he gets traded, but for the sake of argument, we'll take a look at some teams that could be interested in trading for him should the Nats do decide to trade him.
I think in general, if you look at this article, will be posted on the Side Retired website as probably by the time this actual episode / video is released. But in general, we started off by saying we don't expect Juan Soto to actually be traded. But as Curran said, if he's actually going to be traded, which teams fit the bill? We broke it down from 29 to 1. So make sure to go check out the website for actual further detail on that topic. But in general, as Curran sort of hinted at, when there's a star available and he's young and controllable and there's money and there's prospects involved, we have the Los Angeles Dodgers as the number 1 fit for Juan Soto.
Yeah. First off, when talking about anyone wanting to trade for a superstar on the Nats, which in this case is pretty much just Juan Soto, it's important to note that the Nats farm system is not very good at all. They did get a huge boost last trade deadline when of course the Dodgers traded for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. They got back 2 top 100 MLB prospects in Diego Cartaya, or sorry, he's still on the Dodgers, in Keibert Ruiz, who's a catcher, and in Josiah Gray, who is a starter. Both of those guys, I believe, Dylan, both of those guys are on the big league roster now and are getting consistent playing time with the MLB roster, which still leaves their farm system a lot to be desired. Now, you look at the Dodgers roster, top overall prospect is Diego Cortea, who I mentioned before, another catcher. It's probably unlikely that the Nats would be as interested in another elite upside catcher, given they just acquired Ruiz. But their rotation is certainly something that needs help with. You look at Patrick Corbin making an opening day start and really not having been effective as a pitcher in baseball for years now. The Dodgers have guys like Bobby Miller, who tosses 100 with ease. Ryan Pepio, who recently just made his 2 first MLB starts in the past few weeks. The Dodgers have pitching, and they have depth in their system in Landon Knack and Maddox Bruns. So it could be interesting there. Michael Bush is a second baseman and first baseman who can hit for power and hit for contact as well. So overall, when you're talking superstars, it just makes sense, especially considering that AJ Pollock was traded in the offseason, opening up an outfield spot. Um, Chris Taylor could go back to being an everyday, uh, all over the place utility guy, and an outfield of Cody Bellinger, Mookie Betts, and Juan Soto would be unbelievable. So if it were to happen, Dodgers are a great spot.
I think our number 2 team, I'll move it along and I'll say that it's going to be the St. Louis Cardinals, in large part because the Cardinals are no strangers to blockbuster trades. They did it with Goldschmidt. They did it with Arenado. They already have their 3 living legends in Pujols, Wainwright, and Yadier Molina. So with the Cardinals, we eventually needed to decide, are they going to go all in on 2022? Which technically acquiring Soto isn't going to do that because Soto, as we mentioned, is still sort of under contract for the next 2 years. After this one, they have a perfect piece to offer the Washington Nationals. I know with the Dodgers, we mentioned maybe it's Lux or all those different pitching prospects. The Nationals could get a guy that they can put into their middle of the lineup immediately, and that's Dylan Carlson. Also compound that with some guys like Dakota Hudson, Matthew Liberatore. The Cardinals have what it takes, and they probably have the money as well. The Cardinals are one of the richest teams in baseball to sign Juan Soto long term. So in general, the Cardinals represent that National League fit. Juan Soto, they could immediately put themselves as the favorites in the NL Central if they were to acquire Soto. Imagine a middle of the order of Goldschmidt, Arenado, and Soto. That seems pretty deadly. Put Soto's left-handed bat in between those 2 right-handed sluggers. It seems like the Cardinals could make a lot of sense for Juan Soto. Current having another blue team, we've got the Toronto Blue Jays, and imagine that lineup if they were to put Juan Soto in it.
Yeah, you look at it from purely an MLB perspective in that what the Jays lineup would look like, adding a top hitter in baseball, well, maybe arguably the top hitter in baseball, it would be scary. I don't think any NL East fans, I know we have a lot, or sorry, AL East fans would be happy seeing Juan Soto join that lineup. But you look at their prospect list, it's decent. It's decent. They have a lot of infielders towards the top. And the Nationals certainly could use infield talent. Like I said, that any sort of top prospect, the Nationals will welcome with open arms, with maybe the exception of catcher. So I think it's definitely a fit. I think the thing to take away from the Blue Jays is to note that their lineup is disgustingly good if they were somehow able to get Juan Soto.
All right, this one will probably be more exciting for most of our listeners. The number 4 team we had was the New York Yankees, but no, it's not going to take Miguel Andujar and Clint Frazier like you all have been suggesting for years for the Yankees to give up those 2 guys in exchange for the best players in baseball. You're probably looking at a Volpe, Dominguez, Michael King, Luis Hill, Jordan Montgomery. A lot of talented players would be going in the direction for Juan Soto. I know when the whole shortstop class was happening this past offseason, the Yankees didn't want to get one because they viewed Anthony Volpe as the next coming of Derek Jeter. But in general, when Juan Soto is available, you're willing to trade anything that's possibly out there. Plus, the Yankees have the money to sign Juan Soto, except this does beg the question, if the Yankees were to sign Juan Soto, does this technically mean that the Aaron Judge era in New York would come to an end? Soto could become that right fielder that gets paid $400 million, but then that also begs the question, why even get Juan Soto if you have Aaron Judge locked up for the future, assuming he would probably cost less, plus he has a history of performing well in New York. The 5th and final team that we're going to go in depth on is the Houston Astros. There was a rumored trade that Bryce Harper was going to go to the Nationals, or going to the Astros a couple years ago. Curran, your thoughts on the Astros potentially taking a look at Juan Soto?
Yeah, again, another team with a very, very good lineup. I think the Astros have a top rotation in baseball again. Justin Verlander looks like he never was injured at all. Jeremy Pena obviously he's basically taken over Carlos Correa's shoes, so I think it's unlikely he'd be included in any deal. But you look at guys like Hunter Brown, Pedro Leon, Forrest Whitley, all those guys add immediate impact talent to a farm system that sorely needs it in the Nationals. Again, this is all pure speculation. Will these guys be enough to get a deal done? I really don't know. I just know that the Astros would be disgusting, maybe even more disgusting than the Blue Jays if they got Juan Soto.
Sounds good. And the other teams we will give quick shout outs to, we have the Padres, Angels, and Giants as teams that all would fit the mold of teams that want to go in and get a big player on the West Coast. If the Nationals want to get Soto as far away as possible, a team like the Angels, could you imagine outfield of Trout, Ohtani, and Juan Soto? I know you're fantasizing over the Dodger outfield, but arguably the 3 best players in baseball suiting up next to each other on a daily basis would definitely be exciting. Giants have some interesting prospects in Joey Bart, Marco Luciano, but again, I don't know if any of these teams have enough of what it takes to actually get a deal done. Again, the other big question we're going to talk about is Juan Soto and the Nationals. If he was a free agent, Steve Cohen and his $500 billion or whatever, 16.9 in actuality, but in general, he has the money to sign Juan Soto. I don't think the Nationals could actually stomach to trade him in division and face him 20 times every single year. So I think for that reason, we had the Mets and Phillies at 9 and 10. But in general, if Juan Soto is a free agent and we're doing this article 2 years from now, the Mets are probably one, if not two, on this list of a team that needs a right fielder superstar. There's been teasing. They had the whole incident where they were trying to sign his younger brother, who apparently isn't that good, but in reality, they were just signing him to say, oh, look, come play with your brother. But I don't think the Mets are actually going to be a trade deadline fit for Juan Soto. I know, yes, Mets fans are fantasizing. We'll give up Alvarez, we'll give up Beatty, we'll give up JD Davis, we'll give up Dom. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. Karen, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add. Of course, check out the rest of the article to see how we find teams 12 through 29. And if you want to read anything else about Juan Soto, so Karen, anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm all good.
All righty. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I would just say don't expect a Juan Soto trade.
Yes, I think in general, this was a fun exercise that took us about an hour to come up with, but I don't think the Nationals are actually going to trade Juan Soto this trade deadline. 2 years from now, maybe when he's a rental, sort of like Bryce Harper a couple years ago. But for now, I don't think Juan Soto is going anywhere. But in the meantime, make sure to go check out the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube, the website. If you want to go to a ballpark near you, SeatGeek.com, Side Retired Pod, $20 off your order. We always love to see that. And when you guys go out to the ballpark, and make sure to @ Side Retired Pod when you use that actual promo code to let us know that you're at the ballpark, and we'll give you a shout out. But I think that's all we've got now. We have our great episode coming up on Friday that will give you previews as to what's going to be happening in the actual weekend in MLB. And we also booked 2 interview guests that are coming up in the next week or so. So definitely make sure lots of fun content coming out on Side Retired on all our different platforms in the upcoming future. So in general, make sure to go to the website. You'll see lots of current stuff there. Current also be making appearances on future episodes. I'm sure you'll see him around anytime soon. So unless there's anything else you want to add,
I'm all good.
All right. So with that, the side is retired.